Hi guys, it's Nick from Talk and Review. So this review is going to be on Triple Threat. So I want to give a big shout out to Well Go USA, who gave me an opportunity to see an early screener of this film. The film's directed by Jesse Johnson, and it's a film that I have been waiting for a very long time. And I think if you're a martial arts fan, this is one film you've probably been looking out for, just solely based on the cast alone. You have Scott Adkins, Uwais, Tony Jaa, Michael Jai White, Michael Bisping, Ji Jai Yanin, Tiger Chen, Ron Smorenberg, and the list just goes on. So if you're a big martial arts fan like myself, you will know a lot of these guys, and quite a lot of these guys are at the top of their game. Quite a few of them have been in a few films together, like Scott and Michael Jai White. But to have all of these in one film is very similar to probably like your Expendables, of where you've got your Schwarzeneggers and Stallone. It's a film that sparked a lot of excitement for me when the cast was announced. The main reason that you'll be watching this film will be for one, the fights, and two, the action. Okay, so the fights. I'm not going to go into spoiler territory because I want you to be surprised at who's fighting who, and you probably know a few already, but I found that there was still a few surprises for me. What I will say is each of the characters have a moment to shine throughout the film. They will all have a moment or a fight to really express what they're about. If I was to say there was one favourite fight, I'd probably say it's the final fight at the end of the film, which is to be expected. And you know that's going to include Scott Adkins. Are the fights some of the best I've seen? In my honest opinion, I'd probably say no, they're not the best that I've seen, but you're going to be very entertained by the fights. I think Tim Man did awesome with the choreography in this film. There's some fantastic moves, some brilliant kicks. When you have Scott doing his fight scenes and when you have Tony Jaa doing his fight scenes, what really stood out for me is you can really see the difference in terms of their martial arts ability, because these two guys are ridiculously fast. They look ferocious on the screen, and I don't know. For me, you can just see another level when these two are going at it in whatever fight they're in. They bring it. It looks awesome, and I don't know. It just looks fluid, and the kicks and everything are just spot on. And to not be too biased in this review, I'd probably say that the thing that I didn't like about probably a few of the fights was that the payoff wasn't there with the fights finishing. So I'm probably being greedy, but I'd love to have seen like a filthy finishing move or a crazy kick to end the fight. So yeah, everyone gets a moment in this film, and I think if you're a fan of any of these people, then you are going to really enjoy this film. Before we go into the next segment, drop me a comment down below. So if you've not watched the film yet, who is it that you're most excited to see, or what fight would you expecting to happen? So the action in this film, there's lots of gunplay happening in this film, which was very surprising for me. And the start of the film had a sort of Predator vibe of where they're going into the village, and yeah, lots of really good gunplay happening. And there's one scene which really surprised me of where there's lots of gore happening, and that wasn't something that I was expecting in this film. What I like about this as well, the locations feel real. It doesn't feel like the normal straight to DVDs where you're in Bulgaria and it's looking cheap, or you've seen these locations 1,000 times. So it was really good what Jesse did, or the crew behind the scenes of making it feel a lot bigger than it actually is. There was a few things that I noticed within the film. I don't know if they were intentional, but it was just something that I spotted from when I was watching the film. So there's a random elephant in the film, so I don't know if that was a little nod to Tony Jaa. You also had, which this was a really cool surprise for me, was Dominique Vandenberg, who was in Pit Fighter. So I can remember watching this many years ago when I was a lot younger. What you have is a bit of a sort of full cycle. So in Pit Fighter, you have Scott Adkins, who made a cameo in that film with his cowboy hat on, and then within this film, you've got Dominique Vandenberg doing his cameo in a Scott Adkins film. So I thought it was really cool to see, and I thought that was a nice little nod to Pit Fighter or Dominique himself. And I didn't actually know he was in the film, so it was a really cool surprise for me. So my favourite characters in the film, and again, this is not being biased, but it is Scott Adkins and Michael Jai White, and both of them play off as great villains, and we know Scott as Boyka can be an awesome villain, so it's not surprising that he can pull off that bad guy image off and be one of the favourite characters in the film. And again, it was refreshing for Michael Jai White to again be on that other end of the spectrum rather than being the good guy. So it was really good to see him interact with Iko Uwais' character, Tony Jaa, and he had this little bond with Ji Yanin. So when they do their little first mission, she comes up to him and he basically grabs the gun and pulls her forward, and it's like a sort of little bonding thing that they have going on. Overall, this is a really solid film, and I think if you're comparing it to the big blockbusters, obviously it's not going to compete with them in terms of budget. And I've said this on many of my reviews before. These films are very hard to make, and a lot of people, don't know probably how difficult it is for all these actors to do these sort of things within time frames, locations, what etc. Budget, probably things getting cut along the way. So what they've done with Triple Threat is really, really good, and I feel that the quality of the films are getting higher and higher with Jesse Johnson, and I think he's working with them really, really well. So there is a cringy scene in this film, and I want you to guess what scene I'm talking about. So John Barrowman is known for probably having one of the worst lines in film ever.
You know, I'm really wired. What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy?
And I think Michael Bisping is very, very close from taking that spot from John Barrowman. So I'm not going to tell you what that line is in the film. What I want you to do is go and watch the film and come back and write in the comment section which line in the film was it that I'm thinking is probably the cringiest line ever. You're not going to get a perfect film with this. It's not going to be an Oscar-winning film. What does stand out is I'd probably say the script is a bit jumpy. It's a bit all over the place. And I think, again, you're not watching these films for a script or amazing acting. You're watching this for the fights and the action. And does it deliver? Yes, it does. And like I've said before, you're going to really enjoy this film. It's bringing something that we've not seen in terms of having all of these top martial artists together. So I think we've been pretty spoiled with the amount that are in this film. You also have Selena Jade, who's in this film. She is sort of the damsel in distress. Yeah, she does really well. So I had no complaints with her acting or anything. She's really cool anyway. If you've seen her in any of the films, you wouldn't expect anything less from Selena Jade. So another person who probably wouldn't get too many mentions, because his name is probably not as big as the others, and that is the Dutch super kicker Ron Smorrenberg. So you'd probably know him from Jackie Chan's Who Am I, and he's part of the mercenary team, and he has a really cool fight in this film. So, would I recommend this film? Yes, I would. So, go and watch this film. Go support it. Go out and purchase this film. If you've got the opportunity to go see this on the big screen, go and do it, because I think it's the only chance that you're probably going to see all of these awesome martial artists in one film together. Drop a comment down below, guys. What did you think of Triple Threat? Was it something that you was excited for? What was your favourite fight from this film? Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of reviews on the way. Have a look at our playlist before. So if you're a martial arts fan, we've done lots of reviews and videos on Scott Adkins, Van Damme, Michael Jai White. So we've got lots of good things in terms of action films. Hope you enjoyed this review, guys. I didn't want to go into too much detail and spoil the film. I'll let the film release, and then if you want to, we can talk about the film in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the review.